In coaching conversations, we want to help people to generate new insights because until you can see something that you didn't see before, you can't do anything about it. You can't act in new ways. You can't find better strategies for success. To generate these new insights, we need to be able to look at things from different perspectives. A greater understanding of your behaviour preferences and personality style can inform you about what your natural coaching strengths are going to be, but also to better understand where you're going to need to grow more conscious competence in order to serve the client well in the coaching partnership. Understanding yourself better and understanding your client better will help you more effectively craft coaching conversations that include the stretch, the encouragement, the energy, and the clear planning that forms a good coaching conversation. If we start with stretch, we're talking about red preference energy. Then natural strengths that you bring to the coaching partnership are forward focus, action orientation, being driven by results, and having a challenging style. It's very unlikely that for your coaching client that you'll let them rest in their comfort zone, that you'll let them make promises that they don't follow through on, or commit to things that they don't follow through on. It's unlikely that you'll come to the end of a coaching conversation without clear outcomes, clear actions, and clear aims that help them progress and move forward. The risks are, if you've got high red energy, are that you might find it difficult to trust the process and therefore look to kind of take control rather than really serving the client's agenda. Also, a sense of impatience can leak through to the client and they might feel a little bit judged. And those are things obviously that inhibit that ability for them to reflect, to think, to really own and commit to the things that emerge as actions and outcomes from the coaching conversation. So you might get kind of compliance and agreement in the end of the session, seeming agreement, but actually afterwards there's a lack of follow through. And that's because they thought they needed to please the coach or to have the right answer or to appease what they feel is a kind of a strong drive from the coach that wasn't really authentic to them. If we next think about that, the importance of energizing, which is really natural to that yellow preference energy. Now, brilliant strengths that people with high yellow energy bring to a coaching partnership are that they intuitively are hungry to hear about vision, to mine for vision, to provoke and catalyze vision. What inspires? What really motivates? What's the dream? What's the picture of the ideal future? There's also a social orientation. So that's brilliant because it means building rapport and energy in that coaching partnership is easy, but also thinking about how do we draw on wider social resources, friends, colleagues, stakeholders. How do we draw on the wider network? How do we communicate both within and beyond our spheres of influence to engage people with the cause or to excite fans for the vision? Yellow energizing presence is also driven by innovation, an enthusiasm and an excitement about innovation. What is possible? What really is possible? What's the potential? How can we do something better? How can we do something new and exciting? How can we do something noteworthy that is going to make a big story, a big splash, and is going to create momentum? And lastly, if you have high yellow preference energy, you're likely to bring an optimistic style, which is brilliant for your clients because in your presence they're going to find that they believe in themselves more, that they believe more things are possible, that they find it easy to feel that excitement in their belly, that intrinsic motivation for pursuing vision. On the downside, if you've got high yellow preference energy. As a coach, you may become complicit in helping your client to pursue things that are unrealistic, to aim for big leaps rather than small steps. Your social orientation might mean that you have so much fun in the coaching conversation that you don't really get down to work, and you don't that the coaching conversations don't result in clear commitments to progress, to action. That drive for innovation might mean that actually you're too quick to move on from the tried and tested ways and to look at how you can iteratively improve a process or a product, because you're more excited by the shiny new thing, and your creativity of thinking and multitude of ideas can also mean that it can be more of a challenge to focus the conversation, to go from divergent thinking to converge on what's the right size for this conversation, what's a meaningful small step action that we can deliver on. If you've got a high green preference, an encouraging, empathic coaching style, you're likely to really brilliantly serve your clients in terms of attuning to their values, noticing what their real values are. That means what matters most to them. You're going to have a connection orientation, which means again that you're going to be brilliant at building rapport and safety in the coaching partnership, and also be thinking about how do they create and sustain deep, meaningful relationships with their colleagues, with their family, with the people nearest to them. You're likely to be excellent at helping your clients to connect with deep purpose. What's going to be their kind of North Star that's going to guide them through difficult times. And you're likely to have an empathic style, which makes them feel listened to, understood, like they don't have anything to fear, like they can really trust you, and that they are safe to say anything. So they're likely to have very high engagement with the actions and the aims that are generated from the coaching partnership. Again, on the other side, the dangers of that green empathic style are that although you can think a lot about values and about team harmony and about healthy, rich relationships, not sacrificing what's important for the sake of the urgent, a challenge can be that there can be too little stretch, that there can be too slow a pace, that there can be collusion to allow the coachee to stay in their comfort zone rather than push themselves into their growth zone. That actually that connection orientation can mean that you become conflict avoidant, both yourself in the coaching conversation, not challenging where maybe there needs to be challenge, but also not encouraging or colluding with the client to avoid confrontation and social sort of disharmony. The other side of the benefit of being purpose-driven is that there can be a lack of pragmatism around what's really commercially necessary, what's going to drive the economic engine, what's going to create sustainable results that will actually keep the ship afloat, to enable all those values and that vision to happen. And as I've said, that empathic style is really helpful for making sure there's high engagement but can result in low challenge. And then lastly, I want to say a few words about clarify, that blue energy that's going to bring clarity. If you naturally have a high blue preference, then you're likely to bring brilliant clarity to your coaching conversations and to the whole coaching process. You're likely to have an analytical focus, which means that you'll brilliantly help clients unpack and understand better what's going on in their situation. You're likely to have a kind of procedure orientation, which is brilliant around implementation, about how we're going to get to where we want to get to. So operations, how do we create process systems that are going to realize ambition? You're likely to be very logically driven. You're likely to be able to notice what are the logical implications of what they're saying. If this is true, what does that mean? What are the next steps? What are likely going to be the consequences? And you're likely to have an objective rational style, which helps people feel that you're not going to be too emotionally driven, you're going to be unbiased, you're going to be neutral and calming. Some of the dangers of that blue preference coaching style are that you could take too long analysing a situation rather than action planning for change. That procedure orientation can make it difficult to stand back and see the big picture, to become excited again about the big vision, the overriding purpose, the destination or the mountaintop that's in the horizon that we're actually trying to get to, rather than focusing on how we cut our way through this jungle of complexity. A danger of being very logic driven is that it can miss out on the question of whether there's really the passion, the heart, the intrinsic motivation and the drive to bring something home. If people's heart is not in something, then no amount of logic is going to help them succeed. And lastly, that objective style might leave a client with the feeling that they've analysed and understood each of the alternatives much more than they had, but they're still no further forward in having a sense of which road is the right one for them.